A destination board waits without a starting point. The giant roadmap blocks the platform ahead. When did planning become fear of choosing wrong? At first, planning feels responsible. Clear development sheets stack clean decades over one city. Each layer promises the next phase will arrive on time. That order can feel calming. A plan can become permission to live, but your life never signed that schedule. One clear sheet slides over another, and the present street nearly disappears. You compare the neat phases with where you actually stand. A delayed job, a changed income, or one uncertain year can break the order. Real days keep crossing the borders drawn between phases. The plan stays perfect. You start treating yourself as the error. Seed packets sit in careful bundles, each carrying a future harvest. Yet no two seeds keep the same pace. Some open early. Others wait through a longer season. Smart planning often forgets this ordinary fact. A good beginning cannot promise an exact arrival. You lower your hands and study the uneven spaces between storage rows. Nothing here looks careless. Everything was stored with attention. Still, growth refuses a common deadline. Care can improve the conditions without controlling the season. What if the delay is not proof that the choice was wrong? What if timing was never fully yours? Behind the construction fence, a clean helmet rests beside ribbon scissors that never finish their cut. The start has been prepared for. Nothing has started. But here's the strange part. Waiting for certainty can look exactly like responsibility from the outside. A dusty graduation gown hangs inside the career center. It records a decision that once felt permanent. Years of effort brought you here. They did not remove the need to choose again. Past planning can prove commitment. It cannot make the next answer certain. Your hand stops as the open corridor fills your view. You expected one completed choice to narrow every later choice. Instead, it created more doors. That is whole road pressure. Every decision must explain the decisions after it. Even curiosity starts looking like poor preparation. One uncertain step begins to feel like a broken life. Color sample chips spread across the model house display. Each one seems small enough to change, but the room is selling an entire future, not a color. You compare one imagined life against another. The choice grows heavier because every sample seems to close a different door. Your fingers slowly open while the finished rooms surround you. Nothing in the display can show who you will become inside it. The harder you picture that person, the less room remains for change. A reversible preference begins carrying permanent emotional weight. Planning starts asking the present to guarantee a stranger. At the loan booth, a salary calculator reaches years beyond money you have earned. The numbers appear precise. Your future does not. A raise, a pause, or a different kind of work changes everything. Still, the model treats uncertainty like a mistake that better planning should remove. You press one key, then stop before the next. The booth remains orderly around you. This is not fear of responsibility. It is the weight of promising with information you cannot have. Every missing number feels like a personal weakness. The plan once helped you compare choices. Now it decides which life you are allowed to enter. An empty title nameplate fits easily in one hand. Around it, company booths offer polished paths and clear ranks. The blank space feels larger than the corridor. If you cannot name the final role today, have you failed to begin? That question quietly turns exploration into shame. The crowd keeps moving while your hand lowers. Nobody has rejected you. No door has closed. Yet you stand outside every role because none can promise the whole future. Minutes pass while the imagined verdict grows louder. The cost is easy to miss. You lose real choices while protecting yourself from imaginary regret. An unapproved permit file lies beside an unfinished blueprint roll. Every line looks serious enough to require approval, and this is where it changes. Planning is not the problem. The problem begins when a plan becomes the authority that decides whether your present life may proceed. Your hand closes without reaching for another approval. Nothing in the room has actually refused you. The refusal came earlier. You withheld permission until every later step made sense. The present kept waiting for a future signature. That standard cannot be met because a life is not approved before it is lived. Empty promotion cards form a ladder on the training board. The order is clear. The meaning is not. Moving upward can be useful without becoming proof that every year counted. A sequence can measure position. It cannot measure whether the work still belongs to the person doing it. Your gaze rises, then returns to where you stand. The promised order no longer feels like direction. It feels like a condition. Progress only counts when it follows the printed order. Sideways learning disappears even when it changes your judgment. That is how a useful plan becomes a gate around experiences it never learned to value. From the development observatory, the planned route looks calm and complete. A weather vane has already turned away from it. The wind changed before the display could change. That small mismatch exposes the impossible bargain. You keep updating the plan, hoping revision will finally make uncertainty disappear. You watch the new direction without reaching to correct it. The city below keeps moving anyway. Whole road pressure promised safety through enough detail. Instead, every change created another reason to delay. Revision became a substitute for contact with real conditions. The more accurately you tried to predict life, the less practice you had meeting it as it arrived. A retirement watch case stays closed at the seminar seat. The harder part comes later. A distant finish can become so detailed that today turns into raw material for it. Ordinary satisfaction starts feeling wasteful unless it serves the forecast. Meals, work, and rest are judged only by what they might produce years from now. Your shoulders drop before the case ever opens. The future has not taken anything yet. The forecast has. Present time keeps being traded for a version of safety that moves farther away whenever you approach it. Planning did not fail. It simply became unable to say enough. In the pitch rehearsal space, your hand traces an upward path against an empty wall. The gesture is practiced. The life around it is not. A smooth rise leaves no place for pauses, sideways work, or a goal that changes after success begins to feel different. The hand stops halfway up. Nothing dramatic happens. That unfinished gesture carries a new standard. A future can guide a choice without having to defend every possible choice. Useful direction leaves some outcomes unclaimed. The question becomes smaller and harder. Does this next step fit what matters now, even if the later steps remain open? Waiting tracks spread through the rail depot, while your open palm stays empty. More options do not create a standard. They only make its absence visible. You can compare speed, status, and distance forever. None of them can decide what deserves your next hour. One empty track remains in view as the others pass behind structural beams. You stop counting destinations. The pause is not surrender. It is the first moment the choice is allowed to be local. One train can matter without becoming a contract with every station after it. The groundbreaking area is ready, yet your hands stay at your sides. But that is not the real reason. You are not waiting for a perfect goal. You are noticing how often a distant goal has been used to overrule a clear present concern. Other people cross the prepared ground while you remain still for one extra breath. The delay feels different now. It does not ask for more forecasts. It separates two questions that planning had fused together. Their footsteps continue without settling either answer for you. What can be chosen now? What must remain unknown until later? Beneath the measurement tower, the weather vane turns again while the tripod remains fixed. Both are doing their jobs. One records a position, the other responds to change. A plan can keep its shape and still lose contact with the conditions it was built to meet. You stand beneath the tower frame and let the new direction remain uncorrected. No measurement can hold the wind in place. That does not make measurement useless. It reveals its limit. Accuracy can describe change without preventing it. The mature part was never predicting every change. It was leaving enough room to notice one. Back beneath the departure board, the missing starting point reads differently. It no longer looks like evidence that you arrived unprepared. It looks like space that has not been assigned yet. One destination becomes readable because you have stopped demanding an answer from all of them. The giant roadmap refuses a perfect fold. This time, you fold only one section and clear your view of the train ahead. You do not choose every destination. You face one train you can take. A plan can guide the next choice without owning every choice. What remains open is not carelessness. Not knowing the whole road does not mean you are standing still.